Murali Krishnan, Director of OptiThought, for the second day session on 3 days workshop, Wireless Communication Design using NI SDR platform. In yesterday's session, our students got clear knowledge regarding advanced communication systems and also got clear understanding of various mobile networks, 5G trends, and choosing right tools for designing their innovative ideas. Today, we are eagerly waiting to know more about various transceivers such as MIMO, OFDM, and SDR. Once again, I welcome you for the second day session, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. So, today, in continuation of yesterday's session. So, yesterday we have just gone through what are all the opportunities available in wireless communication, what are the trending areas of wireless communication, what are the research capability. We have gone through it. But tomorrow we will see the MIMO capability, the millimeter wave, the densification, all these things tomorrow we will see. So today we are going to see the SDR because yesterday during my presentation I have insisted that now the software is the key. So I have explained. So any type of algorithm, particularly any type of physical layer development, we can able to build in the software, and that algorithm can be deployed in the real-time hardware. None other than the software-defined radio. In our case, it is a NIUSRP, which is also available at Milam Engineering College. So today we are going to see the software-defined radio architecture of NIUSRP. After seeing the software-defined radio of NIUSRP, we are going to see the IQ data. So it's a very important concept is a IQ data. What do you mean by IQ data? So after seeing the IQ data, we will see how we can kickstart the experiments in NIUSRP. What are the things we need to do it with NIUSRP? So what are the initial procedures? So in case if some students wants to doing experiments with NIUSRP, what are things you need to do it? So we will tell you how to do NIUSRP, and then later on we will build and show how the program has to build with NIUSRP, and then we will be finally ending with a pulse shaping and match filter as one key part of the modulation scheme. So this will be the session. So I request, I hope already the session has been recorded. This is very important session because in case if you want to kickstart to use your hardware, you need to clearly understand what are the stages, what are the steps you need to do it before doing the experiment. So now, in this regard, I am requesting my technical director of OptiThought, Moganvalli ma'am. So she will be handling the session completely today. So starting from SDR architecture and building a complete programming of pulse shaping and natural filter. So Mohanali ma'am, I request you to take the session and help in this regard. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Welcome all of you, and a very good morning to one and all. So here I would like to start with, as sir said, so we'll be starting with the SDR platform. So in regard to that, we'll be seeing how to use NIUSRP, right? So these are the things that we are going to see today. So before and then after knowing about the architecture of NIUSRP, so slowly we'll go to before going into the programming. So first we'll see what is the IQ data and importance of it in RF communication, and slowly going to the hardware. So how we are going to use USRP, right? So what are the procedures to use it? Okay. So USRP is Universal Software Radio Peripheral. So that is the expansion of USRP, right? And then we'll be transmitting a simple sinusoidal signal using NIUSRP 2920. So how we are going to transmit and receive a simple sinusoidal signal. And the next one is that in simulation, with the help of modulation toolkit, right? So that is one of the toolkit that is being used in RF communication in LabVIEW platform, modulation toolkit. So using modulation toolkit, how we are going to do a simulation, okay, of a PSK modulation scheme, and later on just extending to real-time transmission of the PSK modulated signal, right? So it includes the analysis of the pulse shaping filter, right? So these are the things that we are going to see for today. Right? So hope you could able to see my screen. Yes, can you see my screen? Yes, thanks. So here, what do you mean by software-defined radio? So radio is a transmitter and a receiver, a radio transceiver, wherein you're going to, all the software modules is going to run on a generic platform are used to implement the radio functionality, right? So you are going to define the functionality of the radio through your LabVIEW software. You're going to tell what is going to be the gain of the amplifier and what is the frequency in which you're going to transmit. Okay, so these are all the functions you are going to configure the USRP through the laptop and you're going to transmit your signals. Okay, so that is what is being given as software modules running on a generic hardware, software defined radio, right? So the radio functionalities are defined by the software, which is none other than LabVIEW, which is installed with the modulation toolkit, right? So this is software defined radio. In this perspective, we are going to break the hardware relevant to it, right? So this is one of the SDR hardware in an instrument, which is called as NI-USRP. Okay, USRP stands for Universal Software Radio Peripheral. Okay, so here in this USRP, there are various series are available: 2920, 2921, and 2922. Okay, so this 2920 is with respect to 50 megahertz to 2.2 gigahertz. When it comes to the other hardware, say 2921, so it will also look the same, but the carrier frequency is going to vary, right? So it is 2.4 gigahertz to 5.5 gigahertz, that 2.2 plus 400 megahertz to 4.4 gigahertz, right? So SDR, what is going to be done is you will be having a NI-USRP hardware, right? And along with your computer, you're going to do the applications, right? So together, your computer installed with LabVIEW modulation toolkit and drivers for the USRP, combine both the hardware and software, we are going to run all our application. So how the computer and this device is being connected is none other than using your gigabit Ethernet cable. Okay, so I'm explaining the ports in this particular SDR. Right? So just zoom it for you to see what are the terminals here. Okay, so here you can see the reference in. So suppose if you wanted to give some external trigger, okay, so for that you're going to supply some reference in and the clock signals. Okay, so for this purpose, this is being given. And you can see RX1, if you are going to zoom and see, so it's nothing but TX1, RX1 and RX2. So these are nothing but this is the place in which you'll be connecting your antenna, your tri-band antenna, you're going to connect in this position, right? So one port is for transmission and another port is for reception where you will connect your antennas. Okay? And next one, here you can see the MIMO expansion cable. Suppose if you're going to do any MIMO related application, you can use this particular expansion port. Next one is the gigabit Ethernet cable. Okay, so you will be connecting this device to the computer via a gigabit Ethernet cable. And you have some LEDs. So at this position, you have some A, B, C, D. All these are LEDs in order to show the status. So suppose if you are going to transmit, okay, so it shows one particular LED is going to glow. If you're going to receive, another LED is going to glow, and especially for the status, okay, to display the status of what is going on, all these LEDs are being provided, okay. And here you can see there is a power port where you will be connecting your power adapter to power your USRP 2920, right? So this is about the connectivity, how you connect this device to your computer, right? So here you can see this is going to be your device, I told you, right? This is your laptop which is installed with LabVIEW, necessary software for you to support this device, okay? So what are the things that you must have installed, okay? I will tell you now. So first one is LabVIEW, okay? So whatever the version, say for example 2020 or 19 version or 18, whatever the LabVIEW version you are having, right? You can install. Another one, with respect to the version that you have installed, you will be installing modulation toolkit. Okay, so that is especially if you are going to do any RF applications, okay, in RF communication in LabVIEW, you must have installed with the modulation toolkit. Okay, so that is the second software you will be installing, right? And the third one, if you wanted the your device also to be worked along with some real-time application you wanted to do, then you have to install NI-USRP device drivers, okay, and with respect to the version you have to download it, okay. So these are the three things that must be installed in your computer before developing any applications with USRP, okay. I repeat it, NI LabVIEW 18 or 19 or the latest version, okay. So corresponding to that you will be downloading software called as modulation toolkit, okay. So that must be installed, modulation toolkit. Third one is nothing but NI-USRP device drivers, okay. So these are the three things that you will be installed in your laptop before doing any applications, okay. So now you can see in this slide, you can see there is a computer which is installed with LabVIEW. You have a gigabit Ethernet cable, okay, and you have your USRP, okay. So it is being connected. So what software processing is going to be taken care by your LabVIEW, which is installed on the laptop, okay. Software processing is going to be taken care by LabVIEW, and the say up conversion and down conversion and the digital to analog conversion is going to be taken care by the RF transceiver, okay. So we are going to process all our signals and send in a form of a baseband IQ, okay. So so in quite a few minutes we'll be seeing what is IQ data and importance of it, okay. So we'll be sending IQ data through the gigabit Ethernet cable to our USRP for up conversion and down conversion, okay. So this is the entire picture of what's going on, what's done in LabVIEW, and what is USRP going to do. Okay, so this is an overview of what is done. Okay, and here in detail. Okay, in the software we are going to take care the modulation, demodulation. What's the type of demodulation you are going to do, right? And the signal processing, say some filtering, and all these operations are taken care by the LabVIEW software. Okay, so modulation, demodulation, and signal processing, right? And you can see what this is going to do. Your SDR, D2A conversion, RF up conversion, and then you'll be having down conversion, analog to digital. Okay. So this is the architecture of NI-USRP, right? So where suppose if you are going to transmit, right? So let us take this upper side. Okay, so this one, upper portion. So you will be with your computer, you're going to select any particular modulation scheme, and for example, you will be getting the IQ data corresponding to it, right? So it will be up converted. DUC means digital up conversion. Okay, so digital up conversion is being done. Okay, so digital data is being converted into analog, sent to a low pass filter, and you'll be having a PLL in order to generate the particular carrier frequency, and it is going to be mixed with the INQ data that is being coming here, right? And overall the gain, transmitter gain amplifier, okay? So you're going to transmit your signals through the antenna, right? So same way if you're going to receive, say in this RX2 port, you'll be receiving all your signals through your tri-band antenna which is being connected to USRP, right? So your signals will be passed through this chain RX2, okay? Or otherwise, if your device is going to act as a receiver, then both of the port, either RX1 or RX2 can be used, okay? So and then low noise amplifier is there, driver amplifier, and then you are having a PLL in order to generate the particular carrier frequency, right? So and IQ data has been separated here. Again, it is sent through a low pass filter, ADC, digital down conversion, and this IQ data are sent to your computer for further processing, say signal processing applications, filtering, and demodulating your data. All those things are being done by your computer. Okay, so this is the internal architecture of NI USR. Okay. So then comes the importance of IQ data. So this is all about the SDR platform. So just a recap of what we had seen. So what is SDR? Okay, the software is going to define your hardware functionalities, right? What is the hardware? Today we are going to focus on, okay, and then what each one of them are going to do. It's a combination. So SDR is nothing but a combination of a software and a hardware together to develop any RF application. Okay, so this is the picture, and then each one what they are going to do. So your computer modulation and demodulation, signal processing, okay, and your SDR is going to do all these work. Okay, and this is the internal architecture. Okay, so in order to understand the IQ data, we are going for the next, right? So basically, we all know that IQ data. So the quadrature signals, you also call it as the IQ data, and it is often used in many RF applications. Okay. They form the basis of complex RF signals, modulation and demodulation, both in hardware and in software, as well as in complex signal analysis, right? So I is nothing but the in-phase component, okay, and Q means the quadrature component of the signal. Okay. So let us consider, as per this slide, you can see an equation called A cos 2 pi FCT plus phi. Okay, so let us consider this as a unmodulated RF carrier signal, right? So this is the one. So now you always know that information is always carried by a RF carrier, right? Through the process of modulation. And you also know that the information can be a voice or a data. So that is used to alter the properties of your RF signal. Say an amplitude can be varied, or the phase can be varied, right? Or the frequency can be varied, right? According to the message, all these properties can be varied in your carrier, right? So now we are going to apply a simple trigonometric formula. Okay, so A cos 2 pi FCT plus phi. So let us understand how it is being split, right? And what is IQ data? What is the importance? Okay. So by applying the trigonometric equation, you get the value as A cos phi cos 2 pi FCT. So same way the sine term, right? So here you can see this A cos phi is being replaced by a unit called as I. Okay, so this is the one we are going to represent. Okay, so this is represented as I, and same way A sine phi is represented by the value Q. Okay, so now we are going to rearrange the equation. So we will be getting in the form of a I cos 2 pi FCT minus Q sine 2 pi FCT. Okay, so you can consider your signal in a complex plane. Okay, so for example, if you're going to draw a graph, right? So what happens? You'll be having an x-axis and a y-axis, right? So x-axis with respect to time and y-axis with respect to the amplitude, right? So whereas here we are also going to have x-axis, it is named as I here, okay, and the y-axis is termed as Q, right? So any vector, okay, so your complex signal. So this is a complex signal which is represented with a vector called, this is the vector in the complex signal. Okay. So if you're going to see this, it is going to represent both the amplitude as well as the phase information together. Okay, so this particular signal, it contains the amplitude and the phase information. Okay, so this is the one how you can represent it in a form of a I and Q. Okay, so what is the how you can represent your signal? Okay, so instead of representing your signals like this, we are mentioning it in the form of a I and Q data. Okay, So in our USRP, we will be having a IQ modulator. Okay, so you can see it multiplies with the INQ by the carrier and 90°. You can see from the picture. Okay, so basically internal to the USRP, we are having a IQ modulator, right? And then, so what happens? Okay, so for example, you are receiving a signal for it. Let us consider. Okay, so we are receiving from the tri-band antenna to the USRP. You are receiving your signals, right? So what happens according to the amplification? Everything it comes in, right? You have a tunable oscillator. It will oscillate to the frequency which is being defined. Okay, and with the help of a mixer, right? You will be getting the I and Q, right? So that will be sent. So this cost will be taken care by here. Okay. So automatically the data will be splitted in the form of a I and Q. The same way while transmitting also, you will be getting in a form of a IQ data, right? It will be mixed with the carrier in the USRP and it is being transmitted through the antenna. Okay. So another way of representing your modulated data. Okay. So modulating data, I of t and Q of t, right? Okay, so while programming, we come to this part. So what is the importance of this IQ data? Is it so precisely varying the phase? Precisely varying the phase of a high frequency carrier in the hardware circuit according to the input message is quite difficult. Okay, so why? Because a hardware signal modulator that manipulates the amplitude and the phase of the carrier wave would therefore be expensive and difficult to design and build. Okay, so in order to avoid the manipulation of the phase of RF carrier directly, we have done the equation. So we have seen, right? So instead of changing the high frequency carrier, what we are going to do, we are just going to change the I and Q values. It's like a small change to the I and Q will change your amplitude and your phase. Okay. So when it comes to RF communication, the IQ data is being famous. Okay, so if you know, if you're going to develop any RF application, you must definitely know the importance of IQ data. Okay, so to demonstrate the importance, you can see. Okay, so this is the representation. So for example, it can be represented in your rectangular plane and both in polar. Right? So here if you see, when I change the I values from -1 to +1, you can see the corresponding notations here. Okay, so what is the corresponding value? Okay, the rectangular coordinate system, right? And you can see the response also. It covers the quadrants, the corresponding quadrants. For example, again, if you wanted to change the Q value, okay, so see how it is being covered. Okay, so again, if you're going to cover the another quadrant, you can see the how the value changes. Okay, so instead of having representing a sinusoidal signal as normally a cos 2 pi fct plus phi, just we are going to represent our data in a form of a INQ that is being represented in a complex plane. Okay, so in polar also you can see. Right, so corresponding to this, you can see what is the signal that is being generated, RF signal that is being generated here. Okay, so corresponding to the change of your I and Q values, you develop a complex RF signal down. So if you wanted to see the corresponding signal in phase component plus your quadrature component will get you the complex signal, complex RF signal. So let us consider it is going to be an amplitude modulation. Okay, so here you can see there is a message signal, which is a sinusoidal signal, okay, where you can see a cursor which is running over it, okay, so that it will take the corresponding amplitude values from the message, okay. So here you can see a modulation is AM. So what happens? So here you can see the phase is going to be constant, and you can see just in the complex plane, okay, you can see just the amplitude alone varies according to the message, okay. So corresponding to it, an IQ value is being generated. So suppose if it is going to be the PM, okay, so let me consider it is going to be a square wave. So here you can see the difference. Okay. So this is for your, you can see the phase change in the RF signals that is being generated. So here you can see the phase change also accordingly. Okay. See here you can see the phase change. The same way again here you can see the phase change. You can also see the RF signals with respect to your amplitude modulated signal. So here you can see it is going to be a sine wave. So now next we will go to FM. For the positive half, you can see the frequencies are high frequency, and in the negative frequency of the message, you can see there is a low frequency component. Okay, so this is your RF signal with respect to your FM modulation. Okay, so this is your message, and this is going to be with respect to your IQ data. What happens for each and every value of the sinusoidal message? What's your I and Q value? Okay, corresponding to it, you are seeing a RF signal that is being generated. Right? So this is the introduction about the SDR we had seen. So just a recap, what is the SDR, how we are going to do with the USRP, right? And the next we had seen the importance of IQ data. Okay. So while programming, I will show you where the IQ data comes and how we are going to transmit the real-time data. Okay. So now before programming, I would like to tell you the procedures that you need to do it. Okay. Before start programming with USRP. Okay. So now I am going to tell you the procedures. Okay. For your USRP to interface with your computer. Okay. So the first and the foremost thing that you will be doing, okay, suppose if you have a hardware, right? So what are the things that I am going to do? So first thing is that you have to set a static IP. So in the SDR box, you will be having a USRP device. Okay, you'll be having a tri-band antenna, and you'll be having a cable, okay, gigabit Ethernet cable you'll be having, okay, and you'll be having a power adapter. Okay, so these are the things that you'll be having when you buy a USRP as a bundle. You'll be getting it, right? So when you open it, you'll be having the software CDs. Maybe you can install the things whatever I have told you, right? LabVIEW, modulation toolkit, and NI USRP device drivers. These are the things you will be installing it. Okay. The next thing that you will be doing is setting the static IP. Okay. So now I'll tell you how you need to set the static IP. Okay, because it is an IP device, we need to know the IP address of your device. Okay. So when you just right click it, open network and internet settings. change adapter options. Okay. In Ethernet, just right click it, go to properties, double click to open. So all you're going to set the IP address as 192.168.10.1. So this is the IP you're going to set it. Okay. So 192.168.10.1 and the subnet mask as 255, 255, 255.0. Okay, so this is the thing that we are going to set it. Okay. So once after setting the static IP, right, what is the next thing that we are going to perform is that once after installing, so in the search, okay, suppose if you have installed the USRP device drivers, we will be having a, if you're going to search in a USRP configuration utility. Okay, so configuration utility, once you type it, you will be getting it here. Okay, NI USRP configuration utility. Okay, so I'm going to open it. So my device is not switched on. Just a moment. So here you will be getting your device ID. Okay. So once you have installed your USRP device drivers, so automatically it must get detected. Okay. So no need to do anything. Okay. So automatically you will be getting your device name. Okay. So if you refresh the device list, okay, so automatically you will be getting your device ID. So just a moment, I will just connect my device once again. So you need to check whether your cables are being connected properly. Suppose if there is any loose wires, okay, so what happens automatically, it will not get detected. Okay, so your gigabit Ethernet cable or the power adapter, everything must be connected properly for it to get connected in the utility box. Okay, so you should not do anything. You have to wait until your device is get connected. Okay, so from this you can see this is the device ID. Okay, 192.168.10.100 is going to be, so it is an IP device. So you definitely need to have a IP address for you to do programming with the USRP and LabVIEW. Okay, So you need to note down this particular device ID. And what are the other things that you can do in this particular configuration? You have a fixed FPGA inside this USRP. You have to update the firmware. Okay, so that is the first and the foremost thing. Before doing the programming, we need to do it. Okay, so you need to update the images. Okay, so as I have done already, it is being configured. So in your system also, if you're going to select the device and if you go to NI image updater, you will be getting here, okay, firmware image, and same way FPGA image will be coming here. So what you will do, you will press write images. Okay, so once you press the write images, automatically the firmware will get updated. Okay, so with respect to your the version of the LabVIEW that you are using and the drivers, according to that, your FPGA is getting updated. Okay, so once doing all this, noting down the device name, you will just close this particular configuration utility. Okay. So here you can see the status as update needed. Okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to update my firmware. So I'm reconnecting my device. So here you can see now this is my ID now, right? So once you have to select this, and automatically when you select this, you can see that these are the files that are being loaded. Okay, so you have to press write images. Okay, so once you see, check it that update needed, definitely you have to do this step. Okay, so write images, automatically you will be popping up, you are about to replace the firmware on your device. Okay, it takes about a few seconds. Give okay. You can see the images are being written. So suppose if you get like this, give it once again. So we'll come back to this step again. Okay. So we need to check it whether it is being written the image. Okay. And you need to get the IP address from this configuration utility. Okay. So we come back to the step once again. Okay. So for now I'm closing this. Okay, so once you have done with the configuration, so these are the set of configurations that you must do in order to start programming with the USRP. Okay, so the software installation, your NI LabVIEW, right? The latest version if you have, and then modulation toolkit and NI USRP device drivers, right? So once after installing in your system, what you will be doing, you will be going to your network settings, change to static IPS 192.168.10.1, okay, and subnet mask as 255.255.258.0. So and after this step, you'll come to configuration utility, okay, so where you'll be having your device ID, okay. So later on to that, you will be checking the image is being updated or not, or otherwise you will be selecting that file and write the images, okay. So what will happen once the writing the image is successful, you'll be having a button for it to abort. So once you give this, then now you are ready to start programming with USRT. Okay. So these are the procedures that we are going to do with USRT. And the next thing that we are going to do is what are the simple so now we are going to see how we are going to transmit a simple sinusoidal signal with respect to USRP 2920. Okay, so we'll see the programming part. Okay, so programming part we'll see. So first and the foremost thing, I'm going to open a new program. Okay, so in order to check that whether the modulation toolkit has been installed successfully, just right click this. RF communication, modulation. So you have, so under RF, once you have installed the LabVIEW modulation toolkit, right click your block diagram, go to RF communication, right? So under this you have modulation, analog and digital, okay? So if you wanted to do any analog modulation or digital modulation in simulation, you can do it, okay? So here you have, these are the functions that you can use for simulating AM, FM or PM, okay? And same way, demodulation side also you have for analog modulation, okay? So in lab, we'll be doing amplitude modulation, right? So we'll be having a breadboard, we'll be connecting all the circuits, right? All the necessary components for you to do the modulation. So whereas here we are going to have our SDR and we are going to have the help of a LabVIEW, we are going to conduct a amplitude modulation, okay? So that you can able to do. So here no need of all those components and trying to fix in a breadboard. Okay, all the algorithm you are going to develop in LabVIEW, and your USRP is the real breadboard now, where you will be transmitting it in real time. Okay, so that is the comparison of what you do in your traditional lab. The lab has been existing, and also you can do it with the help of the SDR also. Okay, it becomes simple, right? So if you want, I will show you the basic amplitude modulation that has been performed in simulation. I just like to show you. So before going and programming with the USRP, okay, so first we start always when we start an application, we go from the simulation, right? And then we experience the real-time hardware, okay? So the same way, all the algorithms, your modulation, demodulation, channel coding, source coding, everything you can do it with the simulation, okay? So once you get the result as expected, so we'll slowly transform our experimentation with the real-time hardware. Okay, so when the real-time modulated signal transmitting in the real environment, how it looks and what are the components of noise that is being added, everything we can experience. Okay, so same way, this is the simulated version of the amplitude modulation. Okay, so here you can see this is the LabVIEW front panel. Here you can see the message signal and same way as well as demodulation together. Okay, and you can see the modulation index here, right? So what happens in the algorithm part? So this is the block diagram which tells you the algorithm, okay, which has been behind this program. Okay, so here you see that there is a sinusoidal. This is my message. Okay, which is nothing generated by a basic function generator. Okay, so after generating it, the sinusoidal signal, what happens? We are passing it through a function called as empty modulate AM. Okay, so we are just using this block in order to do the functionality. Okay, once it is being done, you convert it into a real output. So suppose if you don't have a hardware, right? So at that time, you can see how the up conversion is being done. When the carrier is being added, how your signal is going to be. Okay, so that is the this function is going to do. Without the hardware, how can you bring in those functionalities in LabVIEW in simulation? That is what this shows. Okay, so this is the up conversion part. Then comes the down conversion. Finally, what is this? This is the demodulate. Okay, so these are the functions 3, 4, 5. Okay, these 5 VIs, you call each and every program in LabVIEW, you call it as a VI. Okay, so these 5 functions together has formed your simulated amplitude modulation. Okay, so this is the one I would like to show you. The help of a modulation toolkit and the simulation alone we will be doing it, right? So this is the simulation. And the next one we are going to see as the time is much limited, so I couldn't able to demonstrate you from the scratch. Okay, so this program is nothing but the a PSK system. It's a QPSK system where in which with respect to modulation toolkit it has been developed. Okay, so here we are going to see. I'll just separate it. What is the modulation part and demodulation part? Okay. So here you can see this is the first function. Okay, so I told you where you can find all the functions, right? RF communication, in modulation, in digital, right? You have some set of functions, predefined functions that are available. Okay, by using these functions only, we have created a QPSK system. Okay, so this program is with respect to simulation where it demonstrates pulse shaping and matched filter also. Okay, so here if you see modulation, what are the basic modulation schemes that you can able to do with modulation toolkit? Okay, so ASK, FSK, PSK, and all these modulation with respect to, and same way you have for demodulation. Okay, what are all the functions? And visualization. So all your digital communication experiments, you will be viewing your results, right? So for that visualization, we have the functions called as constellation and eye diagram. Okay, so to see your ideal data points, constellation will help you, constellation plot. And same way eye diagram. Okay, so how well your signals are being distorted by the help of the opening of the eye with respect to eye diagram, you can see that whether how much your signal has got distorted by the opening of the eye. Okay, so that also can be demonstrated with the respect of this, with respect to this function. Okay? And what are the measurements you can make it from your system? Bit error rate and quadrature measurements. Okay, so everything you can able to make. And the other thing is impairments. How you can create impairments to your signal. Suppose there is going to be noise added, additive white Gaussian noise. Okay, so suppose if you are going to transmit your signal and it's being corrupted by the noise, right? So that can also be simulated in LabVIEW with respect to these functionalities. Okay, Raytheon, Rayleigh, and Gaussian, everything can be demonstrated with this impairments to the signal. Okay, these are the equalization algorithms that are available, and then channel coding. You can see convolutional code, Reed-Solomon, and LDPC code. So these are all the inbuilt functions that are present in modulation toolkit. And same way, decoding part, you have all these functions that are available. Okay. So with all these functions, we have just made it as a program. That is what you are visualizing it here. Okay. So this function is generate system parameter. You are going to give the symbol map. Okay, so first and the foremost thing is that we are going to give a symbol map. For that, we have used this EI. For a QPSK system, what is going to be your symbol map? For 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1, what is going to be the symbol map? Okay, this is the first function, right? And the second one, here you are going to see, we are going to generate the bits. Okay, this is number 2. Okay, it's nothing but your source data. Okay, the data that you are going to modulate it. So you are going to generate the PN sequence. Okay, that is the second one. Third one is nothing but, so this is my empty generate filter coefficients. Okay, so it gives you the coefficients of the pulse shaping, and matched filter coefficients are going to be provided by this particular function. Okay, I will tell you why it is needed. Okay, so and the fourth function you are going to see is the, here you can see, empty modulate PSK. Okay, so if don't worry about the complexity of the program. So for each and every program, if you give a control H, okay, for the particular function, you will get a detailed head of what the input should be given. Okay, input bit streams, PSK system parameters. You can see that it is being connected from the previous functions only, right? So here you can see. Okay, so output of this, right? And here you can see one of the important thing is pulse shaping filter coefficients. Okay, so that is needed for modulation purpose. Okay, so basically there are two requirements of the wireless communication channel which demands the use of pulse shaping. Okay, so now I'll tell you the importance and what are the types of pulse shaping, because it is one of the important part. Okay, so one is generating band limited channel. Okay, so that is the first one, and the second part is reducing ISI, intersymbol interference. Okay, from multi-path reflection. Okay, so these are the two primary reasons why pulse shaping is necessary in a wireless communication channel. These are the two main reasons. One is generating a band limited signal, other one is reducing the ISI from the multi-path reflections. Okay, so both of them are satisfied by this pulse shaping filter, which is applied to each symbol. It is being applied to each of your symbols that is being generated. Okay. What happens basically? It's smooth. It's making a smooth transition. Okay, it smooths the sharp transition. In that way, it reduces the bandwidth of your signal that is being generated. So these are the main thing why you have to include the pulse shaping in your communication system. Okay. And basically, there are two types of filters in this pulse shaping. One is raised cosine filter, other one is the root raised cosine filter. These are the two types of pulse shaping filter that is available in LabVIEW and in general also. And what happens here, you will be having a value called as alpha. Okay, it is nothing but the roll-off factor, right? So you can see what happens when you vary the value of alpha, what happens to the amplitude of the side lobes. That is being reduced considerably. So for that, I have just demonstrated this. So one you see, one I have kept, for example, one I'm going to have a raised cosine filter. Another one is going to be root raised cosine. So I have two filters here. Okay. So why? In order to compare the difference between the raised cosine and the root raised cosine filter. Okay. Okay. So here you can see the response. Okay, of your filtering process. Okay. So what is the red plot and what is going to be your white plot? I'll just tell you. So your red plot is nothing but your raised cosine filter output. Okay, so first one that you have given is the root raised, and the next one is going to be the raised cosine filter. Okay, so that is being mapped. Okay, so we are going to see by changing the value of alpha, what happens to the side lobe. So that is the demonstration that we are going to do it now. See what happens when I increase the value of alpha. Okay, it varies from 0 to 1. The side lobes, you can see a main lobe and there is the side lobe, right? So once it reaches to 1, you can see the amplitude of the side lobe is being reduced considerably. Okay, so while sampling, you can sample at the right point, so you will not be getting all those values. Okay, you can sample at the right point. So you can just demonstrate what happens. You can see the amplitude of this side lobes are maximum, right? When compared to your raised cosine and root raised cosine, you can see the side lobe amplitude level. Okay. So that is being demonstrated here now. Okay, so what happens when I increase the value of alpha in both raised and root raised cosine? Okay, as the value of alpha, the amplitude of the side lobes are reduced considerably, right? Okay, then this fourth block, this one, now again we are going to model it. So till now we were seeing the importance of P. Okay, so now what are we going to see? We are going to see the importance of the modulate. Okay, how we are going to modulate the signals, what are all the important things that are necessary for you to modulate it. Okay, so you can read it from the context help. Okay, what are all the inputs that are needed will come on the left hand side. Okay, outputs on the right hand side. So you will be supplying the necessary inputs for it to run. Okay, and this is the additive white Gaussian noise. We have created a noise impairment to our signal. That is the fifth, right? Next, what we have done, it's nothing but demodulate PSK. This is sixth, right? Seventh one, what we have done, it is the constellation plot. We are going to see the constellation, how it looks, right, after the reception. So this is the seventh one. This is the sixth. Okay. So, and this eighth one is your eye diagram. Okay. So this is your eye diagram. Okay. So we had, what we have done in this is in this program, we have just made use of the modulation toolkit, right? We have picked and placed the functions that are available in the modulation toolkit to form a particular modulation scheme, and we have placed a constellation diagram and the eye diagram for the measurement of your, to take some measurements of your system. Okay. Now what we are going to do, we can in this experiment, as experimentation result, we can vary the parameter of alpha, right? You have a root raised cosine filter and a raised cosine filter, right? So what happens when I have the alpha as 0.3, what happens to the eye opening? So same way, for the two filters, you can change the value of alpha. You can take the corresponding opening of the eye. So these are the experimental results that you can able to get it from this program, right? So here we are going to see. Okay, in simulation, what we are seeing is, so this is how your constellation plot of your QPSK looks. And the next one to it is your eye diagram, right? So what happens when you see, when I alter the value, see now we are seeing when additive white Gaussian noise is there, okay? So when you're going to vary the value of EB by N naught, you can see the how my constellation goes, right? You can see how the scattering of my data, the white one is nothing but your data points, right? And the red line in this constellation is nothing but transition between your data points is being represented in the red plot, okay? So while changing the value of EB by N naught, see what happens, still the scattering is there, right? My data points. When it is close, so this is how it will look, okay? And you can see the opening of the eye. Okay, so this is the noise part. By creating an impairment, you can able to take the measurements. Okay, so the next one. So this is my raised cosine, right? So I wanted to change the value of alpha. Where is it? Here. Now what am I going to do? Now I'm going to vary. So earlier I have changed the value of EB by N naught. Okay. So in terms of dB, additive white Gaussian noise I have made. Now what am I going to do? I am going to change the filter parameter, bulb shaping filter parameter alpha. Okay. And now it is in raised cosine filter. Okay. So now if you see, if I am going to vary, earlier you can see the opening of the eye is somewhat reduced, right? And see, when you just increase the value of alpha, you can see the opening of the eye well. Yes, so you can able to measure the opening of the eye. Okay, so you can set the cursor parameter and you can measure the value of worst case voltage and the best case voltage. From that you can take the voltage value and measure the opening of the eye. And same way, now you can change the to other filter. Okay, so okay, so here you can see the opening is being reduced, right? So once I improve, why? Because why it happens? Because the amplitude of the side lobe is getting reduced. Because of that, the ISI is also getting reduced. So that is the experimentation we are doing here. See, as I go increase the value, okay, it's getting better. So here you can see the amplitude also, it is getting reduced, side amplitudes. Because of that, you have a wide opening, ISI is getting reduced. Okay, so this is the experimental results that you can able to get it. Okay, so this is a QPSK. We have seen a QPSK system with analyzing the pulse shaping filter, either to raised cosine or root raised cosine. From the tabulation, you can make it as a tabulation. Okay, left hand side you can have it as raised cosine and root raised cosine, and in the verticals you can have the value of alpha. Okay, and by these results you can say that this filter is much better, or my root raised is much better. So suppose if you're going to even you can create and research, like you can design your own filter and you can say that my filter is better because of these performance. I say my filter is better. Okay, so all these research kind of things can also be done in the same experimentation. Okay, so here we have demonstrated QPSK, right, and we have plotted the constellation diagram, eye diagram. Okay, by changing the value of alpha, what happens, right? And same way by adding the Gaussian noise. So what happens to the opening of the eye can also be measured. Okay, so these are all the various results you can able to get it, right? So this is the simulation part. Okay, till this you have any doubts, because we are going to the hardware next. So the real time demonstration is going to be done now. So till this, if you have any doubts, you can just ask, or if you want me to proceed, I will proceed. So then we'll pass on. Okay, so to the next, how to do a real-time demonstration. So now, what we are going to see. So now I have told you that you have to install. So when coming to USRP, so now the same thing, what are we going to do? The simulation part, how are we going to transmit in the real time? Okay, so for that we need to do some small modification to our program, right? Because we need to bring in our hardware functionality also in our program. Because we need to configure, right? We need to set what is the carrier frequency, and we need to set what is the gain of the amplifiers, everything. Because it is software program. Okay, so how we are going to take the functionalities is, once after installing the instrument driver, you have instrument IO, instrument drivers. Under that, you will be finding your NI USRP. Okay, so TX. Okay, so in this TX, so these are all the functions that are necessary for you to demonstrate. Okay, so for example, here open TX, right? Configure, we having a write and you have a close. Okay, so it is going to be simple now. So we are going to just connect it. So open session is nothing but you are going to open a session, and it means that you are going to you are going to give your device name. Okay. So here device name, just right click it here, create a control. Okay. So where you will be giving your device name 192.168.10.2. Okay. So that is what we got it. Okay. So that we are going to enter. That is being given in this program NIUSRP OpenTX, right? So the next one is configure. You're going to configure it. But for that, what you're going to do, just right click this function, create all controls and indicators. Right? And then you have a write function. Okay. So after doing all the source coding, channel coding, and all these parts, you're going to write it to your device. So from your device, it is going to be transmitted in the free space. Okay. So for it to transmit continuously, I am doing this. Okay. So here you can see, first what I have done, it's giving your device name. Second one, you're going to tell the necessary sampling frequency okay, of your device and your carrier information, gain, and through which antenna. Okay, so here you're going to configure your USRP to transmit the signals, which has been modulated. Okay, and the next one is your write. Okay, so you're going to write your data. And finally, you will be having a NIUSRP close session. Okay, so that is what you're going to do in your. For example, if you're going to apply, if you're going to develop any application with this SDR platform in USRP, you'll be having two programs. So one is your transmitter and another one is your receiver. Okay, so how you're going to transmit and receive. So you basically you'll be running two programs at a time. Okay. So now we have developed the transmitter program. Just the template alone we have made it ready. So now we will be connecting the modulated signal to your write function. So this is the write function. Okay. So same way you will be creating one more template. Okay. So which is nothing but. So again for the receiver functionality, go to NIUSRP RX. Okay. So we have open, configure, initiate, fetch, abort, and close. 6 functionality for you to do the receiving. Okay. So same way whatever you have done for your transmitter, the same one you do it for the receiver. So this is the device name, right? So basically you'll be having two VIs. So for simplicity, I'm doing it in the same block diagram. Okay, you have to open a new VI and you have to do this. Okay, so just connect the wires. Okay, this is your receiver part. So what you can do, you do a Control X, Control U, Control T, and paste this in another program for a receiver. Okay, so this is your receiver. So what we are going to do it again, put it in a while loop because you are going to continuously receive, right? So open the session, configure it again, same way, create all controls and indicators. Okay. Initiate. So you are giving a signal for the USRP that you are ready to receive the signals. Next one is fetch. Fetch means you are trying to get the IQ data from the USRP device via a gigabit Ethernet cable. Okay, you will be getting your IQ data. Okay, so next one, after doing all the operation, you will be aborting and closing the session. Okay. Okay, so here I have got the device name. So it's basically writing the images. So you have to wait for a while until this operation is getting completed. Okay, so here you get the burn process has completed successfully. Reset the device and press the OK button to continue. Okay, so it has written the image. You have to give an OK. Okay, so now the images has been written. Okay, you have updated your firmware. So now our device is ready. Okay. Okay, so this is how you will develop your TX and RX program. Okay, so now what is the modification? I'm going to show you how in order to transmit using USRP. Okay, so here I will show you the program. Okay, so this is the same PSK that we had seen, right? The same thing, but with the additional functionality. Now I told you, right? So the hardware with the USRP along with the software functionality is being given in this program. Now see what we have done. This is the IQ data, the pink colored line, right? So this pink colored line is nothing but the IQ data. Okay, so it will be written in A plus JB format, okay, or I plus JQ. So that format, see what we are going to do. We are giving it directly to the where. So we are going to write it to the USRP for the real-time transmission. Okay. So basically there are two programs as I've told you. Okay. So my IP is 10.2 and same way you have to see the IP address are set properly, right? What is your IQ rate? Okay, IQ rate I set it as 200 in both. Okay, both TX and RX. 915, my carrier is going to be 915 megahertz, and I don't again make it 0. TX1, okay, and I'm going to select the QPSK scheme. Okay, here you can see root raised cosine filter with alpha value is 0.5. So same way you can change it. Okay, so now QPSK. Okay, we had selected the modulation scheme accordingly. So now we can transmit. Okay, so this is with respect to the USRP real-time transmission of a QPSK modulation scheme. Okay, so same way we are going to receive. Okay, so this is the receive one. In real time, we are fetching the signals, right? And we are plotting it in a constellation and in a particular eye diagram. Okay, so this is the real time implementation. Okay, with pulse shaping filter in real time with the help of the USRP, right? Okay, is there any query till this point? So I would like to recap of what all things that we had seen for today. So first of all, we have been looking at the introduction, right? So what is going to be SDR, right? And what is the things that are responsible of? What is the hardware going to do? What is my software is going to do? All those things. And IQ data, what is the importance of IQ data? Okay. So and then we have seen some procedures how to configure your USRP before starting your programming. What are the necessary softwares has to be installed, right? And how you have to set the static IP and the configuration. All these procedures we have seen. And then simple transmission we haven't seen, right, because of time limitation. Instead of that, we had seen PSK model, QPSK simulation, and in real time we had seen, right? So these are the things we had covered. So till this, if you have any query, you can please let me know.
Students, if you have questions, ask them.
Thank you to all the participants and the professors in the meeting. Thank you for everyone. Patience.
Thank you, Mohanavalli ma'am.